right, everybody. Thank you. Welcome for coming together for the power lunch right now. I'd like to though launch a poll first, if I may, Robin, to see if we have any good Beatle trivia people in the room. So if you want to launch that poll, all right. The question is, the Beatles song "Come Together" was conceived by John Lennon as a political rallying cry for which person? All right, give some thought with that. We'll give you a few seconds. I will announce those after some of my intro. So thank you again. One thing I can tell you is that we all got to be free, and that means we got to come together right now over Virginia. So much to celebrate as we still are celebrating and highlighting Women's History Month this season in March. And so I want to do a couple Friday sparkles about a couple important women this week that made the news. Deb Hyland was the first Native American Interior Secretary. Woohoo! And that was just so awesome for the environment. I know we're a big cheer for that. And Catherine Tai. Tai would become the first Asian American woman and the first woman of color to be the U.S. Trade Representative since the position was created 60 years ago. So the poll results, let's look at those. We did some sparkle. The result is Robert F. Kennedy. Well, that's the wrong answer. The real answer is "Come Together" was the lead song on the Beatles' Abbey Road album. It was conceived by John Lennon for the writer, psychologist, and pro-drug activist Timothy Leary. So little trick question there, but now we know, a little psychedelic. That's because we have the psychedelic background today for the power lunch. So thank you for that. All right. I'm sorry, these little polls are coming up on my screen. All right, so I want to talk about how we're going to come together in a powerful way, because when we band together, that's when we really are at our strongest and we're just a force. So today, with all eyes being on Virginia, we are talking with 4 groups coming into Virginia to help with this election cycle. And we'll explore with them how we work together to win, because that's our superpower for sure. All right, first up, we will have first segment's going to be with MC Robin Zeff Warner, our own on the team, and with our special guest who likes to pop in once in a while, Jen Runkle of Postcards from Virginia. Alexandria, oh, well, welcome, Jen, glad you're here. And those guests will be Reid McCollum, co-founder, Postcards to Swing States, and Roxanne Rucker, regional organizer for DC, Maryland, and Virginia for Reclaim Our Vote. Thank you guys for being here, and give a wave. Awesome. We'll head off to segment 2 with Every District Matters. We'll feature Nicole Hobbs. She's here in the room, co-founder and executive director of Every District. And she's going to discuss the strategy of assisting legislative races with better fundraising and data. Thank you, Nicole, for being here. And then this is exciting, all the way from California. She loves to come on the show. We have the founder of Local Majority, Joanne Lulan. Welcome, Joanne. Give a big wave all the way from California. And you're going to talk about your plan to provide the candidates in Virginia with specific candidates with position papers, graphics, social media help, and messaging to help amplify a winning message across all the platforms. And that's going to be really cool. And then I'm so excited. Today we have a special activist spotlight with Kay Ferguson of Artivism, Virginia. And Kay, I'm so excited you're here. You just do some beautiful work. And your group connects artists and activists in the fight for environmental justice. So also, more importantly today, we wanted to come together to fight the rise of hate and violence. I know everybody's heart has been heavy all week. And so we stand today with our sisters and brothers in the Asian community. So we asked Delegate Kathy Tran to be with us today to discuss these issues. So she will be here. Because these tragedies from El Paso to Charleston, I mean, the list gets too long. And the most recent murders in Georgia are spurred by the same force, white supremacy. And white supremacy kills, it devastates our families, our communities. So enough is enough. and we have to stand together. And I'm so glad that we have come together right now. So let's get started. We have a lot to cover today. I'm going to introduce my crew like I always do and give a big wave to Ambassador of Buzz, Stair Calhoun, behind the controls. Hey, Stair, rock and roll, man. This is your groovy 70s period. I hope you didn't toke any marijuana today, but it's legal in Virginia, you know. In our show wizard, Robin Zeff Warner back there from Postcards from Virginia, and show anchor Louisa Borowski's here today. She's back from all her
everybody.
Hey, Louisa. And she'll be here later in the show talking about the candidates that we'll be supporting, and show maker and shaker, co-host Krista Jones. Welcome, Krista. No pearls today.
No pearls.
No pearls, no pearls. But that's good. Always got to take a break. You got a new necklace on. I love it.
Absolutely.
So for everybody in the room, we're doing this show weekly. We started a new subscription on Patreon, and we ask you that you subscribe, support our show. Why not? Only $5 a month. You could support us lovely ladies producing this show. That would be awesome. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and put a thumbs up on our videos because we got great content. And of course, follow us on Twitter because everybody else is, I guess, around Virginia. And then stick around for the after chat. I hope some of our guests will stick around today, especially some of the candidates that may be here with us that want to meet Joanne. I know that she will be sticking around. And speaking of the chat, I just want to remind everybody, the chat is a place for you to have fun and communicate. But if anybody gets a little, as we say, any funny business, the bouncer stare will boot you out of the room, just to give you a heads up. That's her new role now. Okay, turn on your screen and say hello. And Krista, how are you today?
I'm doing well.
Well, come up on the screen. Is Kathy here?
Yes, she is.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I tell you what, if you can put Kathy up on the screen and then Krista.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Oh, sorry. You know why? Oh, I know what I did. I put a pin on the screen so I could just look at my hair before we went on. Anyways, Krista, I'll let you take the reins from here. And thank you, Kathy, for being here.
So I'm just really encouraged that we are taking this space to talk about the Asian hate that's really, and it just didn't just happen on Tuesday. We know this is something that's been happening in our country for a long time. Kathy, for me personally, while I know the grassroots activists, we are probably so weary of all that's been going on in this country, particularly in the last 4 years. But what is encouraging to me is that people are calling this out as Asian hate because there's a particular set of circumstances in our nation with our very horrible history with Asian Americans that got us to this point. And I think to me, it's important we don't all lump it together. Another thing that I'm really encouraged to see is that we take the efforts to go beyond memes and statements, and that we try to figure out what are we really going to do. A statement and a meme is, in the social media culture is one thing, but let's move it forward. So we'd love to just hear your thoughts on everything that's going on and what we can do.
Great, thanks so much, Krista. You might have seen baby Warren on my shoulder. I've learned after 5 kids, I don't put a sleeping baby down because I'm usually not successful and they'll wake up, but I have them with me. And I just really appreciate this opportunity to speak and be amongst friends. As Catherine said in her remarks, it's been a really heavy week. It's been really hard. And today I learned my son Quinn, who's 8, shared that he heard in the lunch line a child asking the cafeteria staff if we should blame the Chinese on COVID and why Chinese people eat snakes and animals and such. So I'm going to get his exact quote so I can share that with our school principal. But it starts at a really young age. And I can remember lots of those questions. Where are you from? No, I mean, really, where are you from? Why are you eating that? Why are your eyes like that? Why do you speak English? And that continues, from being young through even now as an adult, right? But I think, so you've probably seen so many of the statistics by now. There's now over 3,800 hate incidents against Asian American and Pacific Islanders across this country in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. in the last year alone. 500 of those cases have happened in 2021. We are only, 2.5 months into, or 3 months into 2021, right? So it's this incredibly disturbing, steep rise in crimes against us for being who we are. And I think for me, it's very clear that this stems from Trump and his cronies and people who keep using terms like, China virus and Kung flu to blame an entire people for this pandemic, and an unwillingness on their part to accept any responsibility that words matter. And what we saw happen this week in Georgia is, this rampage that purposefully targeted Asian American businesses and killed 8 people, including 6 Asian American women. And what we're seeing with the media talking about how this killer had a sexual addiction that he, and a bad day, and he was a good churchgoer, right, almost allows us to excuse this crime. And so this is truly the intersection of race, sexism and misogyny, of xenophobia, and of really lax gun laws in Georgia that allowed him to go and purchase and obtain his firearm within the same day. And so, it's hard to know what the path forward is other than, and in terms of direct action we could take, but we need to call it out for what it is. We need to stop using those terms, and we need to stand together as allies. And also, I think importantly, understand that this is not the only time, as you said, Krista, that Asian Americans have faced these this type of feeling and direct attacks on our community. It's actually been our entire history in America, right? Starting with the Chinese Exclusion Act, which explicitly excluded people from an entire country, then exclusion of women, and then the Chinese railroad workers who literally built the railroads with their hands, being and losing limbs and lives, right, being left out of any discussions about the success of the railroads, all the way to now. And so I won't give you that entire history, and I continue to learn more every time I watch something. But the othering, the scapegoating, the invisibleness and actual erasure of Asian Americans from our history and from the tables we sit at continue. And I'll just say, because I know you all are so focused on getting out the vote, when we talk about what happened in 2020 and how we were able to flip the White House, how we were able to win the Senate in Georgia, the discussions about who came out to vote very regularly leave out the AAPI voters, who truly were the margin of victory, even in Georgia, right? And like our voting participation increased exorbitantly, and we're not talked about. And so I think you just that as an example of how we continue to be invisible in the conversations and the narrative. And so I just ask you, and I appreciate so much your support, reach out to people in the community, just ask how they're doing, and let them know, your friends know that you're here for them. And I think I've gotten some messages, and it's been incredibly heartwarming to know that I have allies and friends and people who care. And I think that if you can support Asian American businesses, that would be amazing. They've had the highest level of foreclosure in COVID. Asian American workers have been unemployed, have had the longest unemployment durations. We're on the front lines in the healthcare system and things like that, and as essential workers and just all over. And so this has just been incredibly tough. So thank you so much. And I think ultimately it is about winning elections. It is about changing leadership and changing the narrative. And it is about making sure that all of the policies we advance together lift each and every one of us up. So thank you so much for all you do to help us with that.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I think your words and comments are really just well taken. In terms of just Asian Americans almost being invisible, you're right. A lot of times we focus on Black and Latino and then, just kind of stop. So I really appreciate you saying that. Just want to call out a few comments on in the chat. Rose says, no matter that we are all Americans, Asian Americans are still seen as foreigners. How many of you are asked as Asian American, where are you from? It really does start with us. And then Franny gives some great concrete actions in terms of supporting business and AAPI friends. But as a last question, I'm just kind of curious. I know a lot of people in this conversation today are parents. I would love for your advice on what parents in particular can do, because you were talking about how it starts at such a young age. Do you have any particular tips for parents?
Oh, I have these conversations. I know everybody parents differently, right? And some I think really believe that like you should wait until they're a little bit older to have these these are tough conversations, right? Gun violence, racism, hate, attacks. But I think, in my family, personally, we have these conversations. We try to make them age appropriate. My daughter is now 10, unbelievable, but her Girl Scout troop has started conversations about racism, and we're actually the next, and they have one earlier and then about Black Lives Matter, and the next one is actually going to talk about AAPI hate. And so how do you, because at the end of the day, kids hear it and they see it. If they're online or if they're talking to friends, it's going to come out. And so I think anything you could do to talk about how do we be generous and kind and compassionate and love one another despite and regardless of what we look like, right? It's who we are on the inside. And I actually think just talking to my own kids, they know that already. We don't need to tell them that, right? We just need to help affirm that for them, but they really do. I'll just share one quick, really quick anecdote. We were talking about transgender rights and my kids were like, it doesn't matter. It's just love. And then they move on, right? It's not a big deal, but like it's the adults who are grappling with these issues and thinking about how sensitive they are. So if you have young ones or if you're grandparents, just encourage you to start that. And there are lots of books that are being written. I think maybe not a lot, but more and more books are being written so that you could possibly read a bedtime story to engage kids in the conversation, if that would be a good starter for you. But I think if you just Googled how to have this conversation online, there are also lots of good sites to just get the ball rolling.
Excellent. Thank you, Kathy, so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now we're going to turn over to Robin.
Hello, hello. So we are now moving on to our next segment. And Stair, I'm going to have you do the spotlighting. Thank you. So the Virginia grassroots is good at so many things. The top of my list and everyone's favorite volunteer activity is writing postcards to Virginia voters. Since 2017, we've been writing postcards to get our candidates elected. In fact, we were the first to have a statewide postcard program, Postcards for VA, and we've never stopped. While Postcard for VA is focused on writing postcards for our candidates, we are thrilled that there are other postcard powerhouses coming into Virginia this year to help us with our Get Out the Vote efforts. As we know, the challenge in off-year elections is building interest and excitement, and nothing builds it better, especially in rural and hard-to-reach areas, than postcards. Today, we have two groups joining us that are going to help us spread the postcard love in Virginia. Postcards to swing states and reclaim our vote. Now, helping me with this segment is our good friend, Jen Brenkel, who you may recognize as one of our favorite guest MCs here at Postcards at Friday Power Lunch. But did you know she's also a rock star postcarder and founder of the most prolific postcard group in the state, Postcards for VA Alexandria. Now, just to brag on Jen a little bit, Postcards for VA Alexandria wrote upwards of 300,000 postcards in 2020. And as Jen likes to say about her group, can't stop, won't stop is their motto. So thank you, Jen. And I'm gonna let you start us off.
Thank you so much. And thanks. We have a whole bunch of postcarders on the phone. I didn't write 300,000 by myself. No, please. So we have amazing, amazing postcarders. We worked, can you see on my wall behind me? Look at all these swing states here that we wrote for last year. And with that, I want to introduce Reid, who was great, so great to partner with last year. And we wrote, of course, lots of different states. Now all eyes on Virginia, coming together in Virginia. And Reid was so great to work with. And what I'm telling folks this year is we're going to write within Virginia. We're going to write postcards through Postcards for Virginia. Yeah, because we have that as a great vehicle. Outside of Virginia, there's a lot of other love that they want to pour into Virginia. And we'll graciously accept that. So Reid, tell us, are you recovered from 2020 yet?
Yeah, oh, wow. And are any of us really recovered from 2020? I don't know. It was a whirlwind, but we're excited for 2021.
What are your plans for 2021 for Virginia?
So we're going to harness activists all over the country again, and we plan to have them from all 50 states write over 1 million postcards to Virginia, both to increase turnout for the June primary and then also for the November election. Not supporting any particular candidate, but just increasing Democratic turnout for the statewide elections in Virginia to make sure it stays blue.
Do you have, I mean, if this is Pennsylvania from last year, do you have Virginia designed yet? We want to see it.
It's on our website. I'll put that in the chat along with my contact information. And the Virginia postcard is there. We aren't launched yet in terms of signing up, but you can see both the Virginia and the New Jersey card designs.
Awesome. We wanted to give you guys an inside track kind of, of what plans are. And then Reid has a very cool program that he wants to pilot in Virginia in preparation for 2022. So this is a really interesting, very local thing called Neighborhood Letters. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Neighborhood Letters is new in a way, but it's also not. Democratic Party sort of precinct captains all across the country for decades have kept in touch with the folks in their own neighborhood. And as probably all of us know, Democratic organizations at the local level are hit and miss, and sort of some of them are very good at outreach and recruiting volunteers, some of them aren't. The idea of Neighborhood Letters is to empower every grassroots volunteer in any purple area in America for next year to download a great template of a letter. It's just a Word document that they can then personalize, print out at home. And then we will provide a walk list to all of those individuals who sign up with the Democratic voters in their neighborhood that they can then deliver it to, just like you would if you were doing door-to-door canvassing. And door-to-door canvassing is extremely effective. A lot of people probably already do that. It's not for everybody, and this is a great tactic that is sort of a little bit less conversational. You can walk around your neighborhood. If people want to mail the letters, they can do that as well. So we're piloting that in Virginia this year ahead of the June 8th primary. We'll have the sign up form going around sort of after this event is the sort of the soft launch for that. But we're aiming for 1,000 volunteers and 100,000 letters delivered. We're measuring the efficacy of that in a randomized controlled experiment. And if we get enough participation and if we prove that it's effective in Virginia this year, we'll do it again in November, but then we'll roll it out to potentially every House battleground and every key Senate state in the midterms in 2022 and have, we ended up doing 21 million postcards last year. So we have a lot of reach and, it's started in my garage and I was a volunteer and, I think this program could be just as successful, hopefully.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Virginia. We're so glad you're helping us doing 1 million postcards in Virginia and also with this special Neighborhood Letters. We really want to knock that out of the park. So thank you. And with that, another postcard effort, Robin.
Yes. So we're going to bring on Roxanne Rucker, who's the regional organizer of Reclaim Our Vote. We're very excited. Reclaim Our Vote is doing a big effort here in Virginia. Welcome, Roxanne. Can you tell us a little bit about Reclaim Our Vote and mostly what are you doing in Virginia?
Yeah, for sure. And first off, let me thank you for putting me in the category of a postcard powerhouse. I'll need to get that sign made to go on the wall behind me. But thanks so much for having me, Robin. Reclaim Our Vote is a campaign of the Center for Common Ground. It's a nonpartisan campaign targeted towards outreach to underrepresented voters. Translate that as African Americans, Hispanic, Asian voters, to increase turnout at the polls and to empower them as voters. So when we talk about this year and what's going on, first off, we're in the midst of a campaign right now. As a matter of fact, I saw a few chats posted where folks said they're writing their postcards right now as we speak. So thank you for that. But we are in the midst of outreach to unregistered voters in Virginia. There are 460,000 unregistered African American and Hispanic and Asian voters. And a word about the word unregistered. At the end of the year, the state cleans up the voter list, and we find oftentimes that eligible voters are mistakenly, erroneously kicked off the voting rolls. They're not aware that they can't vote till they get to the polls. So this is one of the mechanisms that we use to reach out to voters of color to let them know that they need to check their status. It's unfortunate, but disproportionately that voter cleanup process, that deactivation of voters impacts voters of color disproportionately. So that campaign is underway right now, Robin, and will run until April 17th.
And if people want to join that campaign, they can go to postcards4va.com, sign up, because we are partnering with Reclaim Our Vote, and you can buy your postcards through the badassboutique.org, which supports the show. Now, Roxanne, once this campaign's over and we're starting to wind down, what's next?
Yeah, for sure. What comes up next is outreach to registered voters of color. And so we will start that campaign on April 12th. We have a list of 1.3 million voters. So we're going to activate postcard writers within the state of Virginia and across our nationwide network. So we get to that over 1 million registered voters as much as possible before early voting starts on April 23rd, but certainly before the primaries conclude on June 8th.
Well, thank you so much. And all of the information on how you can register for the postcard campaigns and buy the postcards will be in the recap email. Now, I just want to mention to everyone who's on the show today, we are going to run over a little bit because of our wonderful segment with Kathy Tran. So hold tight. You're not going to want to miss anything. So now I'm going to turn it over to Krista Jones to move us on to our next group that's coming into Virginia.
Excellent, thank you. So I'm so excited to talk with Nicole Hobbs with Every District. Today, as you know, our theme is coming together, all eyes on Virginia. So it is so important that we also talk about all of the great groups that are working with us to make magic here in Virginia. So Nicole, first of all, welcome, thank you for coming. Can you talk to us about why you founded Every District and what you all do?
Absolutely, and thank you all so much for having me here today. Every District was started in early 2017 to rebuild from the states up with a focus on flipping state legislative districts and state legislative chambers blue. The two main pieces of that work are our data work. If you go to our website, everydistrict.us, we have a map where we provide a competitiveness ranking for every state legislative district to help people understand where there are opportunities to flip districts. And we've set ourselves up for a lot of work later in the year after redistricting happens. And and we'll be redoing all of those maps. And the second piece of our work is that we use that data to identify states and districts where we see opportunities to make progress in the states. And so we're very glad to be back in Virginia this year to protect the majority that we have all worked so hard to build over the past 4 years, and also do what we can to expand that too.
And we're so appreciative because, as we say on almost every show, the last 2 years, we've seen such a drastic increase or change in how we're able to operate and promote our progressive policies in Virginia. So we are so very thankful. Are there any more reasons why, in particular, it's important for you to work in Virginia?
I think exactly what you said. Virginia has really been a model for what can happen when we flip state legislatures blue. Unfortunately, we really haven't seen the same progress in other states that we have in Virginia. Last year, Democrats nationally targeted a whole bunch of other states where we were hoping to be able to flip state legislative chambers. And instead, what happened was that Republicans were the ones who flipped chambers, and we really didn't make a whole lot of gains. So for us coming back to Virginia, it's so important to protect the work that has happened and to make sure that that continues, so Virginia can continue to be a model for other states about all of the good policy that can happen when we do elect Democrats to state legislatures. And we at Every District just published a report last week that really does a deep dive into some of the challenges that we've seen in other states in terms of building a program to make the investments to get those flips to happen. So I'm going to share that link in the chat. And if you all are looking for something to read this weekend, definitely give it a look and let us know if you have questions.
And so thank you. That would be great. And is there anything else that people can do if they want to support your efforts or just get more involved?
Absolutely. I will also put the link to our main website in the chat. If you're looking to learn more about our work, you can sign up for our email list, which is the best way to keep in touch with us. I'll also put my email in the chat if anyone has questions and you want to reach out directly. But we're very excited that we are putting our program in place for Virginia this year. We'll be announcing our first round of Virginia endorsements next month with a particular focus on our incumbent candidates that we want to make sure return to the State House next year. And with that, really ramping up our fundraising program to ensure that those candidates have the resources that they need to run competitive campaigns and remind the voters in their district about all of the great work that they've done the past, 2 to 4 years, depending on when they were elected, and why it's so important that we send them back to Richmond next year.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And we love hearing that we are a model for the rest of the nation, and hopefully that will continue. So thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you.
So now we'll turn it over to Catherine.
All right. Well, that was also great. So great job. I mean, look at all the all the people coming into Virginia, because all eyes are on us, right? Not only for our great our great outfits, but but for helping Virginia win. So and I love the postcards. They're beautiful. So we were going to move on to somebody that's really out of state and out of this world. Joanne Lulan. Hi, Joanne. It was great talking to you the other day. And I met you, years ago now, back in 2017, when you came into the state and even came to the Women's Summit and did a special program with candidates, got them in the room. And so I'm so glad you're here. So just tell us a little bit about local majority and let's get right to it.
Okay, local majority, like so many others, started right after the nightmare election of 16. And we've worked always in state legislatures, and we've worked now for 7 different states. And we work particularly with candidates. Our main focus is we write papers for them on issues that they don't have time to research, because we have all kinds of amazing researchers. We're in the Bay Area, so we have all these people from Stanford and the tech world and all kinds of things. And we're all volunteer. We've done over 200 papers. We did 55 for Virginia because this is now our third year, our third cycle in Virginia. And I just want to say something about your group. I think if every purple state did what you all do, it's unbelievable. Your women's summit, I've never seen anything like it. So to purple state people out there, do what they do and you will turn your legislature blue. So what local majority is doing is that we're upgrading all of our papers now that we did in 19 for candidates. And we always did papers for issues that candidates asked us to do, that they don't have time, money, or energy to do, and we provide them and talking points. But we're doing a whole new thing this year as well, and I want to share my screen to show you what we're doing.
Sure, go ahead.
Because we're offering this to all candidates, all grassroots groups for nothing. We're all volunteer.
Right.
And so I'm going to show you what it is.
Start sharing. While you're sharing, I'll say, yes, awesome. And I know that these candidates in 2017 really needed it. And you're identifying about 18 this year around that will need it. I think some of them may be here or maybe not, but today on the show. So go ahead and press the present so we can just see the slide.
We share with every single candidate.
Awesome. So go ahead and present, hit the present button, Joe, so we can see the actual slide. Right now, you're just showing us your whole screen.
Can you see that with the slides?
I can see it, but if you hit present, I could see the whole thing.
How do I? Your screen, it says
it's okay. It's okay. You're sharing, but if you hit present, it shows where's your present button on your PowerPoint. Start show, present. I'm looking at your screen.
Oh, I'm a terrible. So.
It's okay. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. I'm just
keep going.
PowerPoint
Go with the flow.
Okay, so this is our digital ad campaigns. You could see that we did all over the country for candidates for specific issues. Here's COVID. Here's good jobs, and these are all able to be dropped into your social media, into your into your Twitter, your Facebook, and accounts, and you just cut and drop and paste. Here's different ones we've done for Virginia about your criminal justice reform, your Voting Rights Act. And here are the scorecards that we're going to do, and these can be put into your social media or postcards. And here's about the Virginia leading on voter rights expansion. When Democrats get a hold, we're going to do report cards, and that can be done in postcards or in social media. Here's our postcards. Here's our new one that we designed for Virginia. And these are the ones we did for Georgia. We sent 41,000 postcards in last cycle. And here's our new one for Virginia.
Oh, that's a cool one. That kind of goes with our groovy theme today, little 70s look.
Exactly, totally. That's designed by my father-in-law, who's an artist, amazing. And then we have memes that we're going to do. We did a whole one for Breonna Taylor. And then we have the one for youth, and of course about the seditionists. We're going to help you get rid of Dave LaRock. Here is different ones about what Virginia has done about the no-knock, and better police training, and limiting minor traffic stops. So those are the kinds of things that we're presenting and giving to people for anyone to use as they see fit. And we'll give them to you for free. Just let me know my name and our my name in the chat. Localmajority.org, and our website. You can see all 55 of our papers from all 3 time periods, but they're all very, very, especially the ones from 19 about criminal justice reform and everything is all on there.
No, that's awesome. And, you know, I think we have a few candidates in the room. If you're a candidate, raise your hand, and I'm going to put on my gallery view to see if we see anybody. In the meantime, I'd like to also, while you're still on the screen, bring up Louisa Borowski, because I like you to all to be together. Louisa, if we could spotlight Louisa, let me get you add a spotlight. Now, you know Louisa Jones, I think you know her from the Women's Summit and from the Virginia Grassroots Coalition. And we're going to talk about candidates. And what's your, go ahead.
So there are a couple of really important things to know about this year. The first one is, because we're not redistricting this year, when we think about our House of Delegate races, we are investing now for 3 years of having to run these races. That means whatever capacity we put in this year, whatever name recognition we work on will help us for 3 years to come. Please, please, please focus on these races. So the ones I want to highlight are, we've got a number of flip opportunities. And as we know, the grassroots, this is where we shine. The Democratic Party does a good job on holding our seats. We're really good at flipping. So some of the flips we're going to be looking at are the Deborah Gardner is running in HD 27. We have Paul Seiker, he's running in HD 33. Brianna Sewell, she's running in an open seat in HD 51. Katie Sponsler is running in HD 66. Jeffrey Feld is running in HD 81. So these are ones that we want to look at. We also have primaries in 2 seats, which will be flip seats. One is HD 84, and then the other is a primary in HD 31, which is an open seat. So these are really important ones for us as the grassroots to focus on. And then we've got a couple of holds, and we may add to this list, but these are the 4 that we're most worried about right now. Josh Cole, HD 28, he won by a little over 1,000 votes, but I hear he has a very strong opponent. We need to back Josh. He has been voting for us exactly the way we would like him to. He's fantastic. Rosalind Tyler, HD 75, she won by 500 votes. She could use support. Please look into her race. Nancy Guy, HD 83, she won by 27 votes. 27. Furthermore, I've heard she voted fantastic this year on criminal justice reform. Please send her some love. And then last is Alex Askew, HD 85. He won by 800 votes. So I'm going to put a couple links in the chat. And top of the ticket races, also important. We've got big primaries, and I'm going to put in our questionnaire for delegate, or that we sent to our candidates for governor and lieutenant governor, so you can see how they responded.
Awesome. And as you see, Louisa, I brought up Deborah's here, Jenny Kitchen's here, Jenny bringing it down in the rural district. And Kara, which district are you in? So off the top of my head, Kara Pickett. Okay, Kara, you got to unmute. And we have.
No, they can't.
They can't unmute. That's right, because we did security. So that's but I want to put you all up on the screen. Can we ask them to unmute real quick?
There
and
they go.
We have
There
just
they go.
They're taking care of it.
30. Okay, great. So go ahead and just, 30. We don't have a lot of time because we want to make sure we get to Kay. So, but I want people to know you in this room and put your links for help. So Kara, quick round.
My name is Kara Pitak. I'm running for delegate in House District 31. I'm running on a progressive platform, including paid sick and family leave, criminal justice reform, implementation of affordable housing programs, and universal pre-K.
Awesome. And where's 31 at again? Remind me.
Parts of Fauquier and Prince William counties.
Awesome. Bringing it out there by La Roque. Let's get rid of that. Let's turn it blue. And Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, I'm running out here in District 25, parts of Albemarle, Augusta, and Rockingham County. We're going to flip a rural seat, y'all. I'm running to be the progressive voice of rural Virginia, something that we have needed for a very long time.
Nice. And Deborah.
I am Deborah Gardner, and I'm running for House District 27, which is in Chesterfield County, which is a suburb of Richmond. And I am running to get some diversity in Chesterfield County in our leadership with more democratic values to help hold the majority. And we have a Women's History Month event coming up, and we'd like for everybody to take a look at that. It'll be in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, please put it in the chat. And Nadia Clark, I think we may have met you before. I'm so glad you're back on. Just give us a quick overview.
Yes, hello, thank you again. My name is Nadarius Clark.
Nadarius, thank you.
Oh, you're fine. Yes, I'm in District 79 down in part of Portsmouth, Chesapeake, and Norfolk. So if you want to see what gerrymandering looked like, just look at the 79th district. I am the progressive candidate here in this district, and I want to bring that youth voice, that diverse voice to this district. I'm running for criminal justice reform, education reform, clean energy, and so many more problems here in 79th.
Nice, nice. No, thank you for bringing that. And I see that we have Katie. Katie, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So tell us, I'm so excited about your event on Sunday, but give us a brief overview, and we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, I was just typing it because I do have to run early today. Yeah, so I am running in the 66th district, which is the district currently held by Kirk Cox. It is one of our most flippable. Since he is stepping down to run for governor, we have an open seat as well. So that really gives us a great opportunity to flip this seat and hopefully increase, but at very least, maintain our Democratic majority in the House of Delegates. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force, former park ranger, and mother to 2 children on the autism spectrum that's running to support the working class families that make up my district and make sure their voices are heard.
Nice.
And I just found out I will be the only female veteran in the House of Delegates if and when we get elected. So that will be a fun way to start off our day.
Well,
but we are featuring a discussion on gender and politics on Sunday. It is a free event. We try to at least once a month do a fully inclusive free educational event.
Nice.
We will be featuring Dr. Vanessa Tyson, in addition to some other prominent female studies and academic leaders. And we invite all of you to attend. I will be putting a link in the chat before I run out.
Awesome, Katie, awesome. So, and here is Joanne. Joanne, here are candidates. And I hope all of you candidates connect with these people in the room today.
You forgot Deborah Gardner.
Oh, wait, we did. I thought I said hi to Deborah.
Oh,
what?
No, we missed one of the candidates. We missed one of the candidates.
No, could you?
Which is very exciting because we have here she is. Let me.
What happened? She left the screen and I.
All right, now she can talk.
Yeah, please talk. Hello.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you. Thank you. So introduce yourself, please.
I would be really hurt to be left out, but I am Fennell Norton. I am really excited to be running for District 100. It is Rob Bloxham's district. He was running unopposed. And after Marjorie Taylor Greene, we can never have a district run unopposed. And so for that reason, and many others, I decided to get into this race. And so it is a rural area. It is also a very diverse area on the side of Norfolk. And so I think with the right strategy and getting out the vote and all the great things that I've heard on this call and getting down to the issues that really affect people where they can feel it, we can make a difference and we can turn this district, and we plan on doing that.
Awesome. Well, I didn't, I saw you on the screen and then you disappeared off my spotlight and I was looking for you. So I didn't forget you. I just thought you left. So how could we forget 100?
I know.
100. Okay. So
really,
Joanne, it's great. And hopefully you'll stay for the after chat. And these are candidates. Sorry.
Please write us so we can get a hold of you, your campaign manager, and all that you need, because we've got issue papers, we've got short talking points, we've got things you can jump into your all your social media, all for free.
Yes.
And we're brilliant and really
and they're brilliant and they're from California and they're groovy. So these are candidates that are not yet elected, that need our help, that are just starting out. This is where the grassroots builds capacities for these candidates. And there's I see electeds even in the room that could probably help you and probably give you advice. But before, and I'm hoping, like Kathleen, if you could stay for the after chat. I know Vivian Watts is here. There's a few other people in the room because we have to get up to our next guest, which is Kay Ferguson. If we can do a transition to lovely Kay. And maybe we will introduce Kay with her YouTube video, because how we're stitching this together is through art. There's another way to get people active, and that is through creativity, beauty, art, and Kay's been doing this since the start of this pipeline activity. And it's just such a beautiful piece she put together to show what they're doing to stop that pipeline. So if we can get that YouTube video queued up and learn a little bit what Kay's doing for the Activist Spotlight.
We are pleased to invite you to the Water Quilt Project. We are stitching stories, weaving waters, and creating community to honor and protect the waterways threatened by the Mountain Valley Pipeline. Click the link below to learn more and sign up, and welcome.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. By and by, I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. Where the river will never run dry.
Protection takes vision, creativity, community, and action. Our West Virginia, and North Carolina rivers need protection from the Mountain Valley and Mountain Valley Southgate fracked gas pipelines. Our protection, our vision, our creation, our community, our action. Join the Water Quilt Project now, because your protection is needed now.
Heart is a Blue Ridge Mountain, in my head an overflowing fountain. Yeah, my heart is a Blue Ridge Mountain. Never knew, never knew, never knew, never knew, never, never knew, never knew. Well, I woke up this morning and I saw a new day dawning. Yeah, I woke up this morning, never knew, never knew, never knew, never knew, never, 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 never knew.
All right, can we add the spotlight on Kay? Now, Kay, I know you've been real busy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you
Great.
for
And
having me.
we've been chasing you, that's for sure. You've been a busy lady. And you've been keeping grassroots alive in the age of social distancing, as we say. So tell us about how this work was born.
So since 2017, Artivism Virginia has been trying to provide a supported connection between artists and activists. And our work came to be about the resistance to the Atlantic Coast and Mountain Valley fracked gas pipelines, and now is expanding to opposing all fracked gas infrastructure in the state. And believe me, there's still plenty of it. Yes. But this work is basically a volunteer, and it is a matter of translation. So what we do is translate a body of knowledge that is very complex and vast. It's legal, it's regulatory, it's scientific, it's political, into invitations that are aimed at the heart. So these invitations seek to be beautiful, inspirational. We say first the heart, then the head, then hopefully the feet to take action. And that's what we've been doing. And we have done it with our music and our Sun Sing Collective, concerts, and all forms of art, videography. When the ACP was canceled, we sort of looked back and said, oh, we sort of did set design, costume design, graphic design and videography for that movement. Wow. So the Water Quilt Project is our latest. And the idea is to reach out with an invitation to a different demographic within the regional areas that are being threatened by the Mountain Valley Pipeline. And it's working. Over 100 people have signed up for the project. They can make a square for a waterway that they want to honor or protect. They can make a square for an activist in that region. We have a song video coming up, Weaving Waters, so you can show your work as the visual for that video. And it's been just another way to reach out and tell the story to the newcomer, because as all you wonderful political, wonderful, active people know, you can get your head so far in the game that you can forget to take the time and look over your shoulder and tell the story to the person who just walked in the room and said, are they still building that pipeline?
Right.
Or what pipeline? or what's wrong with it? We all want to turn our lights on. Whatever it is, it's been our job and our service to all the environmental groups that are fighting these things. Now in Charles City, also
Right.
in Hampton Roads, and now in Pennsylvania County, where they're trying to put another big compressor station. So it's been our job to help them to give stage. And that's going to places and providing the sound system and the stage management. We're just like a microphone.
Well, let me ask you a question. How can, I mean, what I was struck by everything is just the emotionality, if that's even a word. I just made it emotionality in your work. And I think in our work, like you said, I loved how you, talked about how important that is. That as activists, we get so busy, we forget to look out the window, up at the sky, the stars. But in the end, it is really about living a beautiful life. It's about the love we have for each other. It's about trying to elevate those things. And that part of our mind is so important. So I love, what you bring to this. And even the postcard, we have a postcard group up here. I don't know if you know them or work with them, but they make postcards and do all kind of creative stuff with that. So you touch all kinds of activists this way, don't you find?
Yes.
Yes.
Because joy is invitational.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, joy is invitational.
And reminding people what it is that we're trying to protect. So the yes, as opposed to the stop, no, protect, save. Messages are important, but they can become wearying.
Oh my gosh, you are so right. And that's why when we got you on the show today, I think after 4 years, and I know you've been at this for a while, and then you pivoted with these projects. And so with social distancing, we're used to being at concerts, being with each other, drinking, eating, and you were still able to kind of build this joy into it. I just think it's an amazing thing you're working on. So
we did a quick pandemic pivot in March and started doing concerts online that Sun Sing in Place. You can see Artivism Virginia on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook. I put all the links for the Water Quilt Project in the chat, but we felt like it was a place to come together and be joyful and be inspired and hear the messages. The action alerts were there and the speakers were there too.
Yeah, and people should go to and hit that link, because there's some of your YouTube on the pipeline where the Terry and Red, they have a whole great video about them and their journey to fight for their land. It was very moving to watch it again today. But I thank you, Kay, for being here. And I hope everybody in this room connects with Kay, makes a quilt, gets involved, or is inspired to do something in your community to get the joy out and to keep doing that. And I love, and I see Krista was nodding her head, is that it's not always about this, but we have to bring people with us, right? And those messages just totally resonate. So thank you, Kay, for being here.
Thank you.
Yes. So it's that time again, as we say. Time to say the round things up, but I hope you'll stay for the after chat. We may have some candidates staying, some elected staying, but we do hope you loved it enough to become a patron of the show and support our work so we can get these wonderful guests on. And of course, follow us on Twitter and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And next week, a little teaser, it's going to be the future of feminism. We'll have a lot of young voices in the room telling us what they think the future is. So we hope you will join us that for Friday and stay for the after chat. And we'll also do, as we always do, you will get an email about all these great links, and especially if you're a patron, you even get more. So let's run the credits and let's come together right now again. Thank you, everybody.